Okay, so after our rally, let's evaluate what happened. So as I said before, when you scout a camp, you can't really tell or determine their defending formation. So if you open up the battle report after the battle, you'll be able to see what that is. So in this particular case, our troops only suffered 91 losses. The rest that were wounded were 136. Really good. Um, we ran cavalry spear formation with only cavalry and a few bowmen in there. Bowmen are always in the rear, so our cavalry took the brunt of the blow. T3 always goes in front of T4, so the T3 troops are what was probably lost. But to be able to tell that, you can go to statistics tabs and it will determine that for you. It'll show you what that is. The defending camp formation was spearman cavalry, so there's no spearmen in the camp. So essentially, that drops off and it goes to cavalry. So we didn't have the most optimal formation to counter with, but it was still effective because our cavalry is much, much stronger than their cavalry. And the way we can tell is this bonus tab here. So what happened is even though it was showing it was spearman cavalry, it was actually, because of the troops that were in the camp, cavalry infantry. So it went cavalry was in the front, infantry was in the middle, and bowmen were in the rear. So that's how you determine what formation that camp had. Um, I know I know the cavalry was much much better, stronger than their cavalry because they have 0%. They have a total attack of 103% and total defense and total health. Pretty weak camp. Um, our stats blew theirs away, and that's determined by the rally leader. Statistically, this is where you can see where your losses were. So we had 91 losses of T3 and 136 wounded of T3. So no T4s, so that's good. So Kingborg lost 91 T3s and wounded 136. Dragons only sent T4s, so he got no wounded, and I only sent T4s, so 0 wounded as well. Now, if I was worried, I did not want, say I was King Borg and I did not want my T3s to become wounded or killed, and I didn't have T4s to send. I can send my T3s, and I can also send T1s. So what'll happen is that T1 cavalry will go in first, and that's where your losses will occur, essentially saving the T3s, if that makes sense. If King Borg did not send his T3s, then every player that participated in the rally would have some T4 losses because the losses have to come somewhere. So the ideal best case scenario would have been if King Borg was smart, he would have sent T4, T3, and a couple thousand T1s. So a couple thousand T1s, what essentially will do is will be shield all the rest of the troops behind him. So he wouldn't have lost T3s, he wouldn't have lost T4s, he would have only lost maybe a hundred or so T1s, and T1s are so much easier to heal and to build back, and they're instantly healed. So that's a plus. There's no timer on the heal. They don't use gold, and there's a considerable resource reduction cost when it comes to creating T1s in when you're making them in the barracks, and there's also no, a considerable cost and time as opposed to T4s. So it's always good to have a shield in front to protect your T4s. In this case, if King Borg would have been smart, he would have sent T1s instead of his T3s and saved some T3s because it takes much longer and more resources uh, to 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 repair his T3s than it would be for his T1s. So I hope everybody learned something with this. This is kind of how you evaluate your progress when you're running a camp, or any PvP battle for that matter. The last tab is a battle record, and this will essentially tell you second by second what went down in the battle. Here's your lines, which I'll go over in another video and how that works. But in order to see second by second what the enemy lost and what you lost is down in the details. And if you want to see even further into details, you hit this triangle here and it will tell you exactly what line went up against what line, how many troops died, how many troops lived, the damage that the wall did, a whole bunch of information here. So Robb Stark did his awakening skill at the beginning. Robb kept kicking ass with his awakening skill. More awakening skill. Let's see. Robb just went friggin' nuts. And what his skill is increasing the attack of the cavalry troops, which is a really good skill. For a free-to-play commander, Robb Stark is really good when it comes to being fully awakened. Trying to scroll down and see if any other commanders popped off their abilities. Well, down here at 16th second mark, Enzo did his, Winton did his, Myrel did his. Then Robb kept ramping up his attack skill. More Robb. Robb popped his normal skill. But you see the idea. You can scroll all the way to the end and it'll give you a wrap up of what occurred. So that's how you read a report. So you can evaluate your progress, compare reports to reports. If you go for a long duration, um, and you level up or power up or you get more badges or awaken a commander or something like that to see if it was effective in running a camp or PvP or whatever that you're trying to do. But this is essentially how you read it. So we killed over 2 million troops in the camp, which is really good. This is the wall and the city defenses of that camp, and of course we were the attacking army, so we don't have any of that. All right, thanks. Hope you learned something.